that leads us into three different fundamental properties associated with operations. They are the associative, commutative, and distributive. Now, for many, that might be a little bit confusing, especially just remembering the names themselves. Well, remember, associative is who do we associate with? And I tend to try to associate with good, positive people who multiply that feeling. So, if I had, for example, 3 times 4 times 5, I could associate 4 with 5, or alternatively, I could associate 3 and 4 together, which is to say, associative property is just the grouping. Who do you associate with, or who are the numbers associating with in the math? And, as I alluded to a second ago, associative property works for multiplication and addition. 3 times 20 equals the same as 12, working within the parentheses first, times 5. They both equal 60. So multiplication follows the associative property. Likewise, addition. 3 plus 4 plus 5 would be 9 equals 3 plus 4, 7 plus 5. They both equal 12. So addition follows the associative property, and that's good. As I said, I like to associate with positive people that help add to and multiply that good feeling. On the contrary, division and subtraction do not work. So if I had 3 minus 4 plus 5, does that equal 3 minus 4 plus 5? Well, this would be 9. 3 minus 9, and that would be 3 minus 4 is negative 1, plus 5 is 4, and that does not equal negative 6. That is not true. So subtraction and division are not associative. If associative property is how numbers are grouped together, in other words, how they're bracketed within parentheses, changing that doesn't matter for multiplication and addition. How about commutative? Commute indicates moving from one place to another, or order. So for example, 5 times 3, if we reverse that to 3 times 5, is the result the same? 5 times 3 equals 15. 3 times 5 equals 15. Multiplication is commutative. We can change the order, and that's what it's really about. How about division? Can I do that for 5 divided by 1? Is that the same as 1 divided by 5? No, of course not. 5 divided by 1 is 5. 1 divided by 5 is 1/5 or 20%. Those two are not the same. So, like associative property, commutative property is not true for division. And likewise, it's true for addition and not subtraction. 5 plus 3 equals 3 plus 5. They're both 8. But 5 minus 3 is plus 2, and that does not equal 3 minus 5, which is negative 2. So to summarize, for addition and multiplication, I can reassociate numbers around those operations. I can pull them out and put them into parentheses, and I can reorder numbers around those operations. I can switch them around, and the results will stay the same. And that is very important for manipulating expressions that will ultimately help us solve problems. What is distributive property? Well, that's when you distribute things out. So for example, 5 times x plus y, real quick, I would have to multiply the 5 times the x, and that's 5x, and I'd have to add then, given the plus sign, what I get when I multiply the 5 out with a y, which is just 5y. So my result is 5x plus 5y. That is the distributive property. So stepping back a real quick second, we've got an instruction unit on these separately in more detail. Why are these important? Seems kind of boring to me. And as we started out, they're kind of hard to remember for some. The reason is it allows you to manipulate expressions by changing something that has relatively no meaning to you mathematically by the associative, commutative, and distributive property. In other words, changing the ordering, grouping, and the way things are distributed. You can convert that expression to something that has great meaning to you. And ultimately, for your purposes, that means solving a problem. This wraps up our basic math stuff lessons. I hope it helped.